We are on Daf Testament base. Okay, where it says Yevamo Yavo Leo. That's in the Gemara. 12 time at the bottom of the page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 lines down. And there's an asterisk where we're starting. 3 words from the end of the line. Yevamo Yavo Leo, that's quote from the Pasuk. Yevamo, her Yavam, her brother-in-law will have relations with her. Zuabiyah, that refers to the actual relations. Isha, he will take her for a wife. Zua Maimer. Now we mentioned yesterday what Maimer is. Maimer is that when you do the actual chuppah and kiddushin on a Yevama, instead of going straight to the cohabitation, you first do chuppah and kiddushin. So actually, there's a fundamental machlokas between the Bab and Yerushalmi. I didn't know it was I didn't realize. I was thinking it was a machlokas, but I actually saw the Yerushalmi says explicitly it's a machlokas. The Yerushalmi holds that Maimer works midaraisa, but it doesn't work fully. Meaning that if you do have a Yevama, you have a sister-in-law, you have to do Yibuman, you do chuppah and kiddushin on her, she's quasi-married to you. The marriage is fully effectuated by then having relations with her. Now you can skip that step of chuppah and kiddushin. You just go directly to Bia. You don't have to chuppah and kiddushin. She's a Yevama. The chuppah and kiddushin of the first husband in essence should be sufficient. So you could skip the chuppah and kiddushin. But if you don't, and you do chuppah and kiddushin, it has a doraisa impact. She's quasi-married. Now, that's not like the Bavli. The Bavli holds Maimer, chuppah and kiddushin by Yevama, only works through Rabbanan, not doraisa at all. It has no doraisa meaning or impact. It's a chumrah d'Rabbanan that you consider to be quasi-married, but not doraisa. However, the Yerushalmi holds doraisa, there are going to be major ramifications for it, and so now for a pasuk according to the Yerushalmi from Ulukacha, right? Ulukacha means to take. All kiddushin in Torah is called kiyikach. It's called kicha. It's called taking. So it says here Ulukacha must be that there's kiddushin also by Yevama. Okay? So it says the Gemara again. Yevama Yavoy Lezu Abiyah. Ulukacha Lolisha take her wife said Maimer. That's a chuppah kiddushin. Yochel Kushem Shabiyah Gomeres Ba. Do I say just like Bia completes the process altogether? Right? She's fully married to him. Kachi Maimer Gomer Ba. So do I would say the same thing about Maimer? Chuppah and kiddushin should have the same impact. No, Talmud Lomar, because the pasuk says V'yibma, says that he has to do Yibum. What's Yibum? Ura Kora Parsha. It completes the entire Parsha Kula Yibum in its entirety, but by Yibum. In other words, the process never finished until you consummate the marriage. Okay? So it's different than regular marriage. Again, regular marriage, you don't have to consummate in Jewish law the marriage, or if the marriage take effect. The marriage ceremony suffices. However, by Yibum, we must consummate it. The marriage ceremony does not suffice. Okay? The Bia is everything. Period. Lock, song, and barrel. The Maimer is only if it has any impact, it's only the Rabbanan, not the Raisa. Okay? So it says the Gemara, Habia Gomeres Ba, Veina Maimer Gomer Ba. Bia completes the process, Maimer does not complete the process. If that's the case, Ike Ma'awil Ba Maimer. So what does Maimer do? What is quasi-marriage, which Maimer affects? If it's not full, it's not complete, what does it do? So he says here, Lo'osor La'achim. For the moment he did Maimer, the one brother did Maimer, even if there are other brothers, they're not allowed to now step in and elect to be the Yavams, because he already began the process. At this point, she reverts vis-a-vis the other brothers to an Eshesach, to the wife of a brother, and they can't take her. Okay? Rabbi Shimon Omer, not true. I don't know what mimer does, says Rabbi Shimon. But either mimer o kona or lo kona. Either works completely, it doesn't work at all. He's arguing. Yerushalmi till now saying mimer works to be the rights for sure, and it makes a quasi-marriage. He says either, I don't know what it does, but either it's everything or nothing at all. There's no such thing as quasi-marriage. So he has a suffix, doesn't know. But it's either everything or nothing. So that's what the book goes on to say, Rabbi Shimon mimer okona or lokona. Either it works completely or it doesn't work at all. Mata Rabbi Shimon, what's logic Rabbi Shimon? Yevamo elea. Yavam share relations with her. Zuabiyah. That refers to the biyah, the cohabitation. Ukacha lo lisha, and he should take her for a wife. Zamimer. That's mimer. Well, that's what the saint we said till now, but he adds his following insight. Ukashem shabiyah gomeres bo kacha mimer gomer bo. If biyah completes, mimer completes, because there's a parallel in the pasuk drawn between biyah and mimer. Oh, that's one way of learning. The other way of learning is Yevamo leor, Yavam shall have relations with her. Varei lekuchalo. Not that lekucha is a separate possibility. It is the result of the biyah. No, it's still not learning that biyah, ubaleh, ulekucha are two separate things, and therefore there's biyah d'oraisa and mimer d'oraisa. And Rabbanan said biyah d'oraisa completes, mimer begins. Rabbi Shimon is saying if they're two separate statements, then biyah and mimer are equivalent, and they both do everything. The other alternative is that biyah is lekacha, not that the two separate things. Rather, the biyah is lekicha, and the mimer does nothing at all. So we have very basic machlokes. For those who came in late, the Yerushalmi holds that if mimer works midoraisa and not midrabanan. Okay, it's machlokes. Rabbanan hold that mimer works part of the way, and biyah completes. And Rabbi Shimon holds he doesn't know if mimer exists. There might not be such a thing as mimer, but if it exists d'oraisa, and it does everything. It's on a par with biyah itself. Okay? Says the Gemara further. Rabbi Eliezer ben Arach Omer HaMaimer Koine Kine Gomer Biyavama. Eliezer ben Arach says like Rabbi Shimon, but with certainty. Not that he said, not like Rabbi Shimon who's unsure. He's definite. Mimer works all together. Lock, stock, and barrel. My time is Rabbi Eliezer ben Arach. What's the logic? Eliezer ben Arach. Because it says, L'kachol lo lisha, should take her for him to take her to him as a wife. Hareki kedusha isha. It says liisha. Isha means a wife. So the kacha, taking, meaning mimer, makes her a wife, right? In and of itself. Ma kedusha isha koine kinyan gomer. Just like the kedushim of a woman makes a complete acquisition. Afa mimer koine kinyan gomer. So to mimer is a complete kinyan. Ezui mimer v'kivama. Now, I know it's about time we should tell you this. I happen to have told you this before. Otherwise, it would have been to the dark till now. What is mimer by Yevama? What does the word mean? So actually, literal translation of the word is statement. Verbal declaration. But what it means is, just like regular kedusha, I give the woman a ring. Here I give her a ring, and I say, or money, and I say, you be married to me. Now, Ben Rabban and Ben Rabbi Shimon both the Rabban and Rabbi Shimon agree, Kirabbanon, like Rabbanon say, that Tzad ba Maimar, if, according to the assumption that Maimar works, Passer B'tzara, once he did Maimar, he can no longer have any relationship with the co-wife. But if I did Maimar to one of two co-wives, once I did Maimar, that's it. She's the one. I might be quasi-married to her, I might be fully married to her, but I can't have anything to do with the co-wife, because I did mimer to her. Okay?
It's similar to like the other brothers are forbidden to her as well. So it's the same.
Right. The catch is like this. If, however, like Rabbi Shimon says he's in doubt, and mimer doesn't work, right? Connect the huta b'tzara. If that's the case, he can still marry the co-wife. But remember, Reb Shimon is not sure if mimer works or not. Like Rabbanan, mimer works halfway. So once he does mimer one of them, he's sure other to the other one. But like Reb Shimon is unsure, it depends what side we're looking at. If mimer works, then if it's sure he's also to the other one. If mimer doesn't work, then he's mutter to the other one because he hasn't done anything.
Is the flip side true about the brothers still being possible?
What?
Can the other brother still marry her as well?
Well, that'd be, according to the flip side of her now. Lefichach, now, therefore, Choletzes lo misyabemes. She has to do chalitza and not yibum. I'm sorry. Yeah, the other sister has got to, the other co-wife, has got to do chalitza. Why does she have to do chalitza? Because according to Rabbanan, mimer is not a full kinyan. So mimer is not a full kinyan. So the flip side of that, vis-a-vis the other wife, is that she's not fully exempted from chalitza or yibum. Right? When I do chalitza or yibum to one co-wife, the other co-wife is now off the hook. But if I did according to Rabbanan mimer to one of the wives, then the other that's not a complete, it's a quasi. So if it's quasi vis-a-vis this co-wife, so the other co-wife is also still a quasi situation. So what do I have to do for her? Chalitza, not yibum. Okay? Yibum I can't do because I did mimer. With the letter out without chalitza I can't do either because I did only mimer. So therefore I have to give her chalitza. And that's certainly true according to Rabbi Shimon. Because according to Rabbi Shimon, it's true if the mimer works, it works all together. And then the other world, the tzara could just go scot-free. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work at all. And therefore the other tzara must have something happen to her. So, and what do you do? Since it's something, you can't do yibum to her. So what can you do to her? Only chalitza. So both according to Rabbi and Rabbi Shimon, when they're two co-wives, and I did mimer on one, I'm going to have to chalitza on the other. That's not true according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Aruch. Because Rabbi Eliezer ben Aruch holds definitively that mimer does everything. So according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Aruch, I did mimer on one of them. I don't have to do anything to the other one. She just goes scot-free l'shuk even without chalitza. Okay? Says the Gemara further. Rabbi Shimon, kana mimer, to the extent that mimer, if mimer works, shtein asuros, then they're both forbidden. Now, this is going back to the case in our Mishnah. But the case in our Mishnah was a case of Eshes Sachim Shloyo Olamo, of the brother's wife when they weren't alive at the same time. And let me just refresh your memories about that. Yeah. Here, look. Reuven was married to Rachel. Okay? Levi wasn't born yet. Reuven died. Rachel was taken by Shimon, but only through mimer. There's no kiddush, no yibum. And Rachel and Shimon had a co-wife, Dinah. Now, Levi was born already at that time. At that point, Shimon dies. So now Levi cannot be biyabim Rachel, right? Because Rachel was Eshes Achiv, Reuven's wife, and he wasn't alive when Reuven was alive. But Dinah can't go scot-free, because since Dinah is only it's not a true tzaras erva, or not a full tzaras erva, because all that was done in Rachel is mimer. So since we're always on Rachel's mimer, so she's not they're not fully co-wives. So therefore, Dina requires chalitza. Right? That's what we just learned. Now, according to Rabbi Shimon, Kono Maimer Shtein Asuros. According to Rabbi Shimon, if Maimer acquires, right, then they're both Aser because she becomes a Tzaras Erva. She's a co-wife of an Erva, right? Lo Kono Maimer. If Maimer doesn't work, if Rachel was not here because Maimer doesn't work at all, according to Rabbi Shimon, who doesn't know if it works or not, so Rishon Asur, then Rachel is forbidden, Vashnia Mutaros. But Shtina would be permitted, right? Since we don't know if Maimer works, so they're both forbidden. If Maimer doesn't work, and it's as if Rachel's not in the parsha, so Dina is permitted, right? But since we don't know, which is the case, according to Rabbi Shimon, therefore Dina must be choletzes v'lo misyabemes. As a chumrah, she has to get chalitza.
Since Rachel is a surah to Levi, maybe the minor shouldn't work at all. Even if it does work, it shouldn't work in this case because she's...
Why? But the minor is between her and Shimon. The minor is between her and Shimon. Okay? That's why I had to go back case mission because the minor wasn't to Levi, the minor was to Shimon. Okay? So, Manavi Bimineo. Now, if both according... That's the next brief. That's the next halacha. We're getting there. The question was asked whether Zikos kiknusa or not. According to Rav Shimon. Yeah, we're getting. The Or Sameach notes that they must be, the questions are connected. Okay, we're going to get there. Actually, not the next halacha, top of Yud Amud Aleph. Just a couple more lines. Okay? Very, very astute comment. Okay? So, Mano Yibineo. So, if both according to Rabbanan, this scenario, and Rabbi Shimon, this scenario is true, right? That you got to do Chalitza and Dina, and Rachel is forbidden. So, what's the two approaches? So, the difference is like this. Bar Ashniya. What happens if you had relations with Dina? He wasn't supposed to. It's a bad boy. But he had relations with Dina, right? So, Al-Daitin Rabbanon, according to Rabbanon, it says Bios, but it should be Bias. Bias Erva. It doesn't work. He's not allowed to do that because Maimer works at least to a certain halfway. So therefore, his relation with Dina is Arias, right? Kids are mamzer. If they had kids, there's no get required, right? Because it didn't work, right? Now. Right, a diamond means diamond means mimer, and this triangle means chalitza. Okay, now there's a line missing here. Both the Shai Torah Yitzro and the Or Sameach say there should be a line here. Al Daita the Rabbi Shimon ain't a bias erva. According to Rabbi Shimon, it's not necessarily an erva. According to Rabbi Shimon, if Levi had married Dina, it's a 50-50 chance that it's okay. Right? Because he doesn't know whether Maimer works or not, Rabbi Shimon. Says if it works, it works all the way. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work at all. So therefore, if Levi was Miyabem Dina, so it's a 50-50 chance. 50% that Maimer does work, and she's an Erva, and it's a Bias Erva. But 50% chance that Maimer doesn't work, and therefore Rocha was never an issue, and therefore Levi can be Miyabem Dina, in which case she would require a get. In which case it would be potentially valid Yibum, and if he did it, a get would be required. And the kid, of course, would be a Safik Mamzer, not a Mamzer Vadai. Because we don't know if this Maimer works or not. Okay? Now, says more further, this is a new issue. Mivnei Sho'asa Bar Maimer. Here we get to a mayor's question. In our Mishnah it says, the only reason why Dina is potentially forbidden is because Shimon did Maimer to Rachel. What about the fact, but if Shimon had never actually done Maimer to Rachel, then Dina could be Misyabemes to Levi. Why? At one point in time, Shimon had Zika had a relationship with Rachel. So if Shimon had a relationship with Rachel, even if he didn't do Maimer, why is that not sufficient? If you hold like Reb Meir said, then the Bavli brings down a Daf Yud Chesam and Beis. Bring down that's Kukos Kiknusa Damya. That it's when there's a state of Zika, then it's as if she's already married to the guy. So then, even if he didn't do Maimer, there already would be an issue of Torah Serva involved, right? The fact that Shimon and Rachel had a relationship of Zika at one point. To put it into Yerushalmi terms, if you hold that Chalitza is a Ptur, then Lichayra Zika is a real state. And if Zika is a real state, so then, if that's the case, there shouldn't, even if there was no Maimer, there should already be a problem that Dino should be forbidden to lady, right? So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Chagai said, and this argues on the Bavli, or the Bavli is absolutely unsure about this at the very most. I learned it like Rabbi Yaakov Brachas said named Rabbi Eliezer, which is the following case. Shomeres Yavam Shemesa Mutar B'ima. Let's see the case inside here. There were parents who gave birth to a daughter whose name was Rachel, who gave birth to another daughter whose name was Dina. So Dina is Rachel's daughter. Dina went and married a man, right? That man died without any kids. Okay? At that point, Dina was supposed to become a Yevama for Shimon, who was Reuven's brother. Then Dina died. At that point, Shimon is allowed to marry Dina's mother, Rachel, even though it's the mother of the woman who was once his Yevama. So Lichayra, if you hold Zika as Kiknusa, so then it's as if Shimon was married to Dina, and then it would not be allowed to marry Dina's mother. So it must be Zika as Lav Kiknusa. The fact that there's some relationship between Shimon and Dina at one point is not eternal. And then, therefore, eventually, if Dina dies, he can marry Rachel. Now, why is that? Says more Zika Isolaba. Wasn't there Zika in Dina? Since there's Zika in Dina, so if you hold Zika as Kiknusa, that Zika is like marriage, then you should be forbidden to marry for eternity Dina's mother. Says the Gemara, Keva Shemesa, Batla Zikasa. When the Yevama dies, the Zika is canceled. Not just that it's canceled, Mikano Lahaba. Not just from here on in, but Lemafreya. The Yerushalmi Shita on Zika is that even if Zika is real, it's only real if it comes to fruition. If one of them drops dead in the middle, either the Yavam or Yevama, then the Zika Lemafreya is undermined and it's as if it never existed. Now again, this doesn't mean the Yerushalmi is going to the conclusion that Chalitza is a Kenyan and that Zika is nothing. Right, as we learned possibly earlier. But no, even Chalitza is a Ptur, and Zika is real. But the only Zika which is real is Zika which goes from point A to point B, from death of brother to consummation by other brother. If it stops in the middle for whatever reason, it retroactively is undermined. And that way, it's not like a marriage. You know, a marriage, when it stopped in the middle, right? A death stops a marriage, but the marriage was real till now. That is not the case with Zika. Zika, when it's undermined retroactively from the beginning. Okay, the Bavli does not agree with this necessarily, as I said. The Bavli might hold Zika, Kukas, Kiknusa, Danya. But that's the sheet of the Yerushalmi. And Remeir Simcha, the Or Samech, when he brings down this Quran, he answers dozens of kashas based on this Yerushalmi, explaining all sorts of cryptic areas by saying that, by pointing out this Yisrael Yerushalmi, that Zika is retroactively undermined by the death of one of the potential spouses. Okay? So very important Gemara to remember. We don't know how to translate the word. Zika means connection. But it's based on the word zakuk, which means they have requirement on each other. It's like each one is required to to do something to the other one. Yevavam and Yevama, they have the requirement to do something. So it's a quasi-marriage state. To what extent it's quasi-marriage is something which it's been tormenting us already for several days.
Contrary to the philosophy the Gemara usually has, is it if you have the potential to do something, it's as if it has been done.
Which is usually Rabbi Shimon's Svara. Right. It's on there. Right. It's very different than that. That's right.
That's the first time I recall.
Yes. Oh, it's a totally new concept, right? So as far as we're concerned, we Babylonians who've never learned Yerushalmi before, this is a totally new concept. That's something. The only other thing I know which is like this is a neder. When a chacham is matir a neder, then the neder is undermined retroactively. That's the only most similar concept. Well, it's Shiloh, Hafara, Torah, which one works retroactively? There's one work, Miafreya, the other works Mikano Habal Mafreya, but right. But there's some similarity in the Dorim. But not here. That's the only thing I can remember like that. Okay, Shnei Achim. Now we go to the next case. Two brothers who may Echad man. Let's see it outside first. Reuven and Shimon, right? Now this is essentially like the last Mishnah, except with one difference, which is going to be a major one. The one is going to pick up on it. This is also Eshes Achiv Shlo Yobo Lamo. But in the previous Mishnah, the third brother was born after the death of Reuven, but before Shimon took Rachel to be Yevama. In this Mishnah, Levi is born after the death of Reuven and after Shimon already took Dinah. So took Dinah as Yevama. So by the time Levi came on the scene, the Gemara is going to note, you might have thought that it's as if Reuven never existed, because when Levi came to the scene, Dinah was already, Misyabemis to Shimon. That's why the Chiddush is going to be that despite that, since Dinah did have a past and was once married to Reuven, even though by the time Levi came on the scene, she was already married to Shimon, nevertheless, once Shimon dies, Dinah and her co-wife are also to Levi because of Eshes Achiv Shlo Yabo Lamo. Okay? So that's the Chiddush of this Mishnah. And the second one, Shimon married was Miyaben. And then the brother was born afterwards. So then Mesa Rishona, Umeis, I'm sorry, and Shimon dies. Dinah goes out because they weren't around the same time. Vashnia, and the second one, Tamar, because Mishum Tzaras, because she's a tzara, a co-wife. Asaba Maimer. Now, this is again the same complexity we had in the previous case. If Shimon, instead of marrying Dinah or cohabiting with Dinah, had rather only married her, quote unquote, did Maimer, Umeis, and then Shimon died, then Cholesh Shnia, Tamar has to be choletzes v'lo misyabemes, like we said in the last Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says differently, and the Gemara is going to explain Rabbi Shimon what he's going on. He's going to miss this Mishnah or the previous Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Miyabim le'ezer shiurtza, choletz ezer shiurtza. Yeah, Levi can exercise the right of doing yimur chalitza on either one of the two co-wives, and again we'll have to see what is going on. Says Rabbi Shimon Omer, Hamaimer o kone o lo kone. I don't understand. Assuming that Rabbi Shimon was going in our Mishnah, it sounds like Rabbi Shimon says that Levi can do either chalitza or yibum to either one of these women. How could that be? Rabbi Shimon had just said previously, Hamaimer o kone o lo kone. If it were, I don't know if it works or not, said Rabbi Shimon, but if it works all the way. So if that's the case, Atomar Achen. What's the possibility that he can do anything to Dinah, right? If all that Shimon did to Dinah is Maimer, so then maybe Dinah is still Reuven's wife, because maybe Maimer doesn't work at all. And if Maimer doesn't work at all, because Rabbi Shimon doesn't know if Maimer works or it doesn't work, but if it doesn't work at all. So then how can you say that he can do Yibum to Dinah? Dinah is Eshes Achiv Shlo Yabo Lamo. Dinah might still be Reuven's wife. Again, assuming this is a diamond, right? Maimer instead of Yibum, right? So it says the Gemara. Umiyami Labal's Maimer, because it's part of the quick question. Can he do Yibum? It's a Dina who was just had Maimer to Shimon. Says Chosh Lamar, and we have to suspect. This is all part of the question. Shema's word lo missing here. Shema lo kana Maimer. Maybe Dina's Maimer to Shimon doesn't take effect. And therefore to have relations with her is Mischayev. Have relations with the brother's wife who was not alive at the same time, and vice versa. The Chotzi Lubalos Maimer, is it enough to do Chalitza only on Dina? It sounds like Chalitza on Dina by itself would work. Who says? The Chashla Mary here too. We have to be afraid. Again, the word lo is missing. Actually, Shema lo. Chashma Shema lo Kona Maimer. Maybe the Maimer doesn't work, and there the Maimer doesn't work. Dina has nothing. It's as if she doesn't exist anymore because she's not. She does not fall into from Shimon. So if that's the case, the only woman in that case who has to be taken into account is Tamar, and therefore the Chalitza even has to be done to Tamar, not to Dina. So if that's the case, have a Madamar Rabbi Shimon. The Mora has no choice but to do that which Rabbi Shimon said, that he could do Chalitz or Yibum on either one of them, is going on Al Reishe, is going on the first Mishnah in the Perek. The first Mishnah in Perek meaning back here. Actually, it's not. Yeah, it's first Mishnah in Perek. In this case over here, Lamed Beis. Now, in this case, in the case of whoops. No, I skipped. Sorry, not the first Mishnah. On the ratio of this Mishnah, I apologize. He's arguing in this case. In this case over here, in the case of our Mishnah's ratio, Rabbi Shimon says precisely because by the time Levi was born, Dina was already miyubemes to Shimon. So therefore, Levi can disregard Reuven. That's a machloket between Rabbanan and Rabbi Shimon. According to Rabbanan, Dina's even though Levi was born after Dina was already married to Shimon, nevertheless, Dina comes with her history of having been married to Reuven, who was not alive at the same time as Levi, and therefore she's forbidden. According to Rabbi Shimon, however, since by the time Levi came on the scene, Dina was already married to Shimon, so he no longer takes into account her history from beforehand. And therefore, since that is the case, in fact, Levi can do Chalitz or Yibum to either one of them. So Rabbi Shimon's Shita, in essence, is we look at the point at the time when Levi's born. If at the time that Levi's born, so Dina is still in, free fall, and Zika, Shimon hasn't yet been Miyabimer, so then she's still considered to be Reuven's wife, and Reuven's not alive at the same time as Levi, and she's not Surah. Of course, Rabbanan agree with that. The case in which Rabbanan and Rabbi Shimon part ways is this case where at the time Levi was born, Dina was already living as wife of Shimon. So in that case, according to Rabbanan, still she's got the history of having once been married to Reuven, who was not alive at the same time as Levi. So therefore they're forbidden to each other. However, according to Rabbi Shimon, since the time Levi was born, she's already living with Shimon as husband and wife, so therefore whatever prior history took place does not concern her, and therefore in essence, both of Shimon's wives, both Dina, who once was married to Reuven, and Tamar, who was only married to Shimon, are mutaros to Levi. Right. Because Rabbi Shimon should have been at the beginning of the Mishnah. Exactly. Okay. Now it says about I'm Rabbi Yochanan Moder, Rabbi Shimon Rishona. Rabbi Shimon agrees that if Levi was born prior to Shimon, having marry Dina, then Levi would still be usher to on Dina. Ashkech Tani, however, we did find a brisa, Odi Machlokas, which says that even the first Mishnah is a Machlokas. Alright, but let's leave that brisa alone. Ma ben Rishona, ma ben Shtia, assuming Rabbi Yochanan is correct, that Shimon concedes on the first one and argues on the second one. What's between the first Mishnah and the second Mishnah? Rishona, in the first Mishnah, Bar Mitzvah B'Isr. When Levi came on the scene, he found Dina still Asura, right? Because Dina was not yet married by Shimon, right? She was still Reuven's wife in free fall, so to speak. Whereas Bashnia, in the second Mishnah, Bar Mitzvah Beheter, when Levi found her born, when Levi was born, he found her already in a state of being married to Shimon, and that's all he has to take into account. Now, the next Gemara from here to the bottom of the page, the Or Samech makes great changes to. I'm just letting you know that because of truth in advertising, because I'm not going to make the changes. But he makes great changes to it, because as you'll see, there's something wrong with the order. It's obvious there's something wrong with the order, but it's not worth changing the order that to the extent that he doesn't for our purposes this evening. Rabbi Yochanan asked, based on the concept we have now, how far can we extend it? Could extend it beyond the pale of Yibum. In other words, here you have Yaakov, right? Well, let's start from here. There was a fellow Moshe. No, we have to start from here. There's a fellow Yaakov who had two wives, Tamar and Dina. And Dina gave birth to Reuven. Okay? Now, there's another fellow, Moshe. Moshe, after Yaakov's death, Yaakov died, married his wife Tamar. I'm not doing this right. One more time. Yaakov had two wives, Tamar and Dina. Yaakov impregnated Dina and then promptly died. Okay? Did his job, he died. Now, after Yaakov's death, Dina gave birth to Reuven. By that time, Tamar, who had been Yaakov's wife, went and married another guy, Moshe. Then Moshe dies. Can Reuven marry Tamar? Were Reuven to have been born prior to Tamar having married Moshe, of course he wouldn't be allowed to marry Tamar, right? Because Tamar is his father's wife. But since before he was born, by the time he was born, Tamar was already married to Moshe, another guy, does that take off the onus of father's wife? Well, it's based on Rabbi Shimon's principle that we look at it as it is when he's born. What about in this case? Can the arayas of father's wife also be taken off by the fact he's married to somebody else at the time? That's Rabbi Yochanan's question. So it says when Rabbi Yochanan, you already found your father's wife married somebody else. What did Rabbi Shimon say about this? Is it because you find the mutters and muteres? Says more no. Rabbi Shimon only says it by Yibum. Why? Because Yibum works. The whole concept of Yibum takes off Eishes Achiv, right? So Yibum has that koyach, but no other. We don't say that by any other type of forbidden relationship. Nevertheless, the one continues to ask questions along this vein. Rabbi Yaakov Baracho, Rabbi Shimon Lakish Pei. Yaakov Baracho said, Shimon Lakish has a question. Eishes Achiv Me'imo. That's why it's out of order, because the question should have all come before the answer. Eishes Achiv Me'imo. Your brother's wife, but not your brother through your father, in which case there's Yibum, but your brother through your mother, right? In which case there's no Yibum. So your brother's wife through your mother, who's forbidden to you. But by the time you came on the scene, she married somebody else, a third guy. You were born only at that point. What does Rabbi Shimon say? Does she become because she found her in a state of heter, she permissible? No. Rabbi Shimon really said in brothers from the father. Because brothers from the father, we have the heter of Yibum. So that means that we have other term as well. but not in this case. So I'm not sure you got the case explicitly, but here it is in a case where Moshe and Aaron. Is this the case? Yeah. Rachel had two sons, Naphtali and Nachshon. Naphtali was Moshe's kid, right? But Nachshon was another person's kid, right? Now, so therefore, Nachshon's wife Rivka should be also to Naphtali, because it's his brother's wife. It's true they're brothers from the mother, but that's also brothers, right? However, Naphtali was not born at the time that Nachshon was alive. He was born only later. And by the time Naphtali was born, Rivka, who was his sister-in-law before he was born, was married to Aaron, some guy from the marketplace. That's the question. In this case, could I say that the fact that when Naphtali is born, Rivka is already no longer his sister-in-law or ex-sister-in-law, is married to somebody else, does that make Rivka muteres? The answer is no, it does not. Again, that only happens in the Ibum situation. Rabbi Yehuda asks for another question on the same vein. So, Tzoras Achos Imo, the co-wife of your yes. Yes. That's a good point. See, I don't know enough about Bavli Yevamos to answer your question. What he's asking is that in the Bavli Yevamos, a lot of the first parak is taken up by this that is applicable in any way, shape, or form by Yibum, then the Yerushalmi is ignoring it because it doesn't know about Seido Chalosa say or not. I don't know. This winter when we come to Yevamos in the Bavli, we'll have to consider that question. Okay? I don't know. As I say, I don't know enough about it in order to answer it with any degree of knowledge. It would be sheer speculation on my part. Okay? So I don't want to answer it. Rabbi Yehuda asked, Tzoras Achos Imo. Same idea. You have the co-wife of your mother's sister, meaning your aunt's co-wife. Which is forbidden to you. That you found in front of somebody from the marketplace. It's because you found it. It's found in a state of heter shimuter. If you here's the case. Could we just skip it? Okay. Rabbi Avin's case is a very easy case. Rabbi Avin boy, turning the page. Grusha shenasi salmona. This is an interesting question with which to end off with. Gemara doesn't even bother answering it. But you have a Kohen is forbidden to marry a divorcee. What if so there was a divorcee who was divorced before this Kohen was born. But this divorcee before the Kohen X was born already married somebody else. And from this second husband, who she was married to at the time Kohen X was born, she became widowed, not divorced. So now, can Kohen X, when he grows up, marry her? Because vis-a-vis him, she's only a widow, not a divorcee. And the answer is no. Says period. New sugya. Atamar Ma'da Amar Rabbi Shimon al Rosha. You said that which Rabbi Shimon is saying is going on the ratio. Is going on the beginning of the. Is going at that which Rabbi Shimon says that you can do chalitzim on either one. So on the ratio where there was a full marriage, right? Not mimer. Full marriage. In this case, since we don't look at Reuven, so Levi can marry either Dina or Tamar. But what about the case where Taka only did mimer to Shimon, right? Mimer Rabbi Shimon Balas mimer. What did Shimon say if all that would happen here is mimer? Let's hear it from here. Rabbi Shimon Omer, this is a quote, this is a brayso. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, B'yasav chalitza shel achatz man poteres chalitza, tzarasa. Normally, the bia chalitza, one of two co-wives, exempts the co-wife. But im chalatz the balas a mimer, but if one of the co-wives was a mimer wife, That's not sufficient. The second one also says requires chalitza. You said that the bior chalitza of one of them exempts the co-wife. So here, no matter which way you look at it, Kana Maimer, if Maimer is a Valkinian, Shteim Noshav, they're both his wives. So Niftar v'chalitza is chaverta. In that case, the chalitza of the co-wife suffices, because chalitza one of them suffices. Lo Kana Maimer. What if Maimer doesn't work? Because that's Rabbi Shimon's other side. Then Maimer doesn't work at all. So then Ena Rishona tzricha chalitza. So then, of course, theoretically, were that the case, so Dina, who only had Maimer, would not require chalitza. Im choratz the bias of Maimer. If, however, you did chalitza to her, since of course she may not be married at all to Shimon, so then Afashniya tzricha chalitza. Tamar does require chalitza. Shema lo kana Maimer, because maybe the Maimer doesn't work at all. Says v'lo noga b'chalitza. The dot is in the wrong place. Maybe the Maimer didn't work, and then Chalitza is null and void. Chalitza Vivum is null and void, because you died to Chalitza Vivum to a woman who was never married to your brother, right? And Shemakona Maimer, or maybe the other Maimer does work. V'niftar b'chalitza chaverta, in which case Chalitza on her friend works. Now, ma nafi mi beneo. Well, according to it comes out the upshot of that is that both according to Rabbi Shimon and Rabbanan, you got to do chalitza for if you did chalitza on Tamar, then that works for both of them. Remember, it's Levi. If Levi did chalitza on Tamar, that works for both of them, right? If Levi did chalitza only on Dina, it doesn't work. You have to do chalitza on Tamar as well. Okay? She's a Balas Maimer. Dina's a Balas Maimer. So chalitza doesn't necessarily work for Tamar. According to Rabbi Shimon, it doesn't work because there's a time that it doesn't work at all. It might work, it might not work. According to Rabbanan, it works part way, which is not sufficient, because remember, Rabbanan Maimer is quasi. So therefore the other woman requires chalitza because quasi, since she's only quasi married, her chalitza only quasi works, and that's why you need a chalitza on the other one as well. Okay, so again, what's the practical differences between them, two of them? What's the difference between two of them in practicality? So the difference between two of them in practicality is this case over here. It's the same case, just drawn out to give out to explain. Reuven is married to Dina. Levi is not alive at the time. Reuven died, right? Shimon now did Maimer to Dina, and he had another co-wife, Tamar. Now after then Shimon dies, right? Now Levi does chalitza. What if Levi then did chalitza to Dina, but married Tamar? He did Yibum to Tamar, and they had a kid Yehuda. So now, how did Chutz Rishon, he did chalitza to Dina, Uba she had relations with Tamar. How did the Rabbanan, according to Rabbanan, this bia with Tamar is bia serva. This is absolutely forbidden. Why? Because Maimer is a Kenyan, right? And therefore Tamar was at least partially a Tzara Serva. And therefore Tamar is an Eshes Achiv. And therefore, to have relations, Tamar is a Bia Serva, Yehuda the kid is a Mamzer. Right? No ifs and buts about it. Al-Daiti Rabbi Shimon, though, ain't a Bia Serva. According to Rabbi Shimon, it might not be a Bia Serva. Because he doesn't know there's one side, according to him, that the Maimer doesn't work at all. And therefore Dina is as if she's not in the picture. So Tamar's relationship with Levi would then be a legitimate Hebrew relationship. In which case Yehuda would be a legitimate kid. On the other hand, maybe not. So it's only a suffix mamzer, and it's a potentially valid Hebrew. Al-Daiti Rabbi Shimon and a Bia Serva. Right? Now another possibility, Ba'al Rishono Ba'al Ashniya. There's a second possibility. Same idea. Reuven had a wife, Dina. Reuven died. Dina had Maimer to Shimon. And then Shimon had another wife, Tamar. Then Levi is a big Baal Taiva. He did evil on both of them. They had relations with both. Which, of course, is also, right? But I'll die to the Rabbanan, according to Rabbanan, Tapi Ralph and Ralph, Rishona Bia Serva. The relationship with Dina was absolutely is Bias Erva for sure, right? No doubt about that, right? Because Dina was their old mimer works Doraisa halfway, but it works, and therefore one second. Okay, it's a little bit more complex. This Bias Erva, Dina's Bias Erva for sure. The problem is that Tamar is a question mark. The second wife, because Tamar, look, Mimer is quasi, it's not full, right? So Levi is for sure also on Dina, because they hold that Eishes Sachim Shaloya Balomo even applies where it's past history. Remember, Rabbi Shimon holds it doesn't apply to past history, right? But Rabbanan holds it does. So therefore, Dina is for sure also to Levi, no doubt about that. But what about Tamar? Tamar was only a quasi Tzoras Erva, not a full Tzoras Erva. Since she's only a quasi Tzoras Erva, not full Tzoras Erva, so therefore she requires both Chalitza and a get in this case. Because she was like schizophrenic. She was like part Tzoras Erva and part not Tzoras Erva. So on the side that she's part Tzoras Erva, of course she's forbidden to remain married to him. But the part she's not Tzoras Erva, so then she required a Chalitza because she wasn't fully a Tzoras Erva. And now, since she wasn't a full Tzoras Erva, maybe the evil takes effect. So now, besides that, now it's the Chalitza, she also needs a get. Okay, that's what it says here. Adayra should be a serva. Dina's for sure also because she's still Eishes Ruven. Or Eisha Chishla below Lomo. But Vashnia Tzricha get v'chalitza. But because of Tamar's state of quasi Tzoras Erva, to cover all bases, she requires a get and chalitza. Al daiti the Rabbi Shimon, according to Rabbi Shimon, stay on Tzricha's get. They both need a get. Why do they both need a get? Because remember, Rabbi Shimon doesn't look at past history. So if this mimer was valid, right? If the mimer was valid, then in fact, then Levi was legitimate in being miyabim Dina, and therefore she requires a get, right? If on the other hand, mimer was invalid, and therefore Dina was as if she shouldn't be there, and this Yibum was improper, but then Tamar's relationship is proper. And Tamar's Yibum was a good Yibum. So she requires a get as well. Okay? So it's a fascinating thing. How that's as Gemara says. Rabbi Shimon Shtein's get. The person requires get because maybe she was legitimate prey for Levi because we don't take past history into account. She was married to the shit at the time Levi came on the scene, and everything was good. She requires a get. The second one requires a get. Shema Kana Yibum, because maybe the Yibum worked, which maybe the Yibum worked on her because Shema Lo Kana Mimer. There's a word lo missing. Because maybe the Mimer Dina didn't work, in which case Dina was out of the picture. And therefore the Yibum Atamar was legitimate. And therefore she requires a get as well. Nifteres, however, she's exempt. It should be me chalitza b'bias chaverta. Chalitza she doesn't require though. Why did she require chalitza? Because she what? Right, but even if the yibum's no good, so she was exempt because of the yibum of her co-wife. Because al that her yibum is not good, the yibum of the co-wife was good, right? One of the two yibum is good, but not both, right? So if her yibum was good, she requires a get. If her yibum was not good, that means the yibum of the second one was good, in which case she doesn't require chalitza because the evil one and the second one work, and all depends on the relationship between whether Maimer is valid or not. Okay? Rabbi Zia B'Shem Rav Sheshes said, Tani Tamon, we learned over there, Divi Rabbi Shimon Shtein Asuros. According to Rabbi Shimon, they're both asur. In other words, both Tamar and Dina are forbidden. We learned that Tamar and Dina are forbidden to Levi, right? She can't do anything with them. The kasha, it's difficult. Kana Maimer Shtein Mutaros. You said if Maimer works, they both might be mutter. Low, one second. I made a mistake. Sorry. Sorry, I made a mistake. Rabbi Zira, let me just go one line back. Rabbi Zira Shimon says, Taita and learned over there, Div Rabbi Shimon Shtein Asuros. According to Rabbi Shimon, they're both asur, right? If you did Maimer to one of them, and then the brother was born afterwards, they're both asur, right? In this case, Levi's really not allowed to marry either one of them, right? So if that's the case, the kasha, I have difficult, kana Maimer, Shtein Mutoros. If Maimer works, they should both be mutter. Why are they both asur? If Maimer works, they should both be mutter. They both be potentially valid for him, right? So says the Gemara, no, lo kani Maimer ella. I am sure. You know what? I'm drawing a blank on this. I don't remember what it means. We'll leave it for tomorrow night. We'll start again for every zero tomorrow night. It's going to. Yeah, I'm just drawing a blank, and last minute, so I always can't figure. Usually can't extricate myself.